right. Another episode of TOL and Friends. This is the Just Friends edition right now until
Just
TOL wakes up from his senior citizen nap. I'm sure he's still hungover from vacation. But I'm Anthony Gallo with the man, Triple P, P. Kennedy. What is good, my guy?
If we're just friends, which one of us is Ryan Reynolds? That's the question.
I'm fat Ryan Reynolds. I'm the Ryan Reynolds before he gets good looking.
Oh, there you go. We're the before and after. I'll take that.
What a poll.
I don't think I deserve that, but I'll take it.
You are very handsome, my friend. Oh. No pause on that one either. Shout out to Hector as always guiding the ship. And we got a lot to get to. It's been a couple weeks since we spoke to you. And as we wait for our resident senior citizen, Al, to get done washing his ass and taking a nap, we had some, I guess, crazy news today that ended up not being as crazy, but Justin Fields carted off the field for a bruised toe or something like that. His foot got stepped on, and all of Jet fans went completely, silent. And I got a lot of same old Jets, but I feel like it was the most, non-severe news that we could get that also really would not have impacted the way I viewed the Jets, because as much as I like Justin Fields, I don't think the drop off to Tyrod Taylor was that much.
No, it's facts. It's really one of these things where in the moment you had the entirety of the Jet fan base like go, are you kidding me? Mm-hmm. This is serious right now. Like we've hardly kicked off camp and this is the news that we're getting. Like, come on, you have to be kidding me. Because I think what Jets fans are going to be saying here is like, hey, listen, Tyrod Taylor, we know he's a good backup. We know he can play a little bit, but we obviously don't trust him to stay healthy. We're expecting to see a pretty difficult season anyway. Mm-hmm. Now we don't even get to watch Justin Fields. Like this is what's running through their head right off the rip of this news. The fact that it's a dislocated non-big toe on his right foot is about the best news you can possibly hear. Screw them toes, right? Who needs it?
I just... My thing was, you always got to avoid the big toe and the pinky toe, because if one of those is gone, you're in trouble. But I guess him getting carted off is like, I'm not judging anyone, but he could have limped off for the sake of the fan, not to scare them, and it wouldn't have hurt him any more than he probably was already hurt.
Right. And you know what, though? It's one of these things where in the moment, say you're one of the training staff, right? Like, oh my gosh, quarterback's hurt. Oh, maybe it's not that bad, but like, you're like, all right, let's go. Like, let's go pick him up. Let's not make quarterback have to go walk off the sideline on a limp. Like, let's just go get him. We got the cart here. You know what I mean? Like, that's probably what happened. But from our perspective of fans, we're like, oh my God, Hector can play it again if he wants to. But it's like, that's what the fans think. But in reality, the trainers are just
sounded exactly the same.
The trainers are just thinking to themselves, and they're like in the first week of camp, like, oh, someone's hurt. We get to do something. Like, we get to do our job. Like, let's go get them. And it's really not a big deal. But yeah, optically, if he limped off, people probably wouldn't have freaked out just as much.
And I mean, listen, as a non-Jet fan looking from the outside in, I was excited to see Fields with them. Not necessarily because I think he's the most amazing quarterback. I think he's a little hated on as far as his ability to throw the ball. I'm not saying he is an elite thrower of the ball, but to see that they are clearly going the run-heavy route, I wanted to see them in that offense have, Justin Fields and the two running backs as like a kind of a triple-headed monster, really thrive. This is a guy who rushed for 1,000 yards. You have Hall, you have Allen. And my thought was they could still survive with Tyrod Taylor out there. But the scary thing would have been, losing, Justin Fields, who would have been a major upgrade, because I think they haven't had a competent quarterback play since, I don't know, Ryan Fitzpatrick we were talking about today.
Chad Pennington, perhaps. No, probably since then, maybe once or twice. But no, it's a great point. It's really the excitement that the Jets fans are holding on to right now. If you really think about what the Jets fans are thinking of, it's like, all right, well, we got Garrett Wilson still. We'll see if Sauce Gardner responds. We'll see if the defense will be good. Aaron Glenn, right? Like, these are all things that are constant. The one thing that they're truly looking forward to seeing for the first time here is Justin Fields, right? Everything else, like, they're not expecting like a Super Bowl run. They're not really expecting playoffs. They're expecting hopefully competency and aggression, a level of coaching from Aaron Glenn. But number one on that list is to see if Justin Fields could be anything other than a 1-year stopgap until whoever's next on the chain. That's what they're most excited about. And to have the idea of that stripped away this early in camp and then give it back to you, it's a roller coaster already. And that's why the Jets are the Jets, my man. That's just what it is.
Real quick, because I'm seeing it now and I saw it pop up on my phone. The Mariners trade for Josh Naylor. So we'll dive
Yes.
into that in a little bit when we talk about the Mets and the Yankees and the deadline. This tweet is absolutely cruel. Like, as for Jet fans, that's rough. That's messed up. And I know I talked about this before with you, Pete, because we were working together earlier. I don't, when it comes to training camp, there's nothing that can excite me in training camp
Nothing.
outside of, a big signing in a jersey or a big draft pick in a jersey. The only thing that can happen is an injury. And until they leave camp for the last time, because for me as a Broncos fan, I think it was 2018, 17, the last day of training camp, Von Miller walks off the field, and the reports are he walked off the field and fell down and tore his Achilles. So for me, until that camp is done,
PTSD.
right? That's all that training camp in the NFL is for me. It is these guys getting hurt, and all I'm hoping is they can survive till week 1, because otherwise, nothing really gets me excited.
It's it's like preseason in baseball too, right? Spring training. Oh, this guy hit 1 million home runs. He's going to be sick this year. And then he stinks, right? Or vice versa. Like, this guy can't get a hit in spring training. Then he hits a home run opening day. None of it matters. But what does matter, Gallo, is the chat. Shout out to the chat for popping in on YouTube right now. They're up here talking to us on this Thursday night on TOL and Friends right here on Uptown Sports. Don't forget to subscribe to Uptown Sports. Obviously, everyone who's commenting is already doing that. But if you're watching right now, don't forget to subscribe to Uptown Sports TV. We're here every Thursday night, and good to be back after a Thursday hiatus or two with you, Gallo. But on the Justin Fields front and on the front of spring training. Now I'm cross-referencing again on preseason in general and camp and all this stuff. Like, I don't really care about the interception thrown. I don't really care about the touchdown thrown. Like, you got guys, you mentioned Russell Wilson in preseason for Denver. You're like, oh my God, this guy looks like he's so good. Of course, a Super Bowl winning veteran quarterback can pick apart a vanilla defense where no one's really, that locked in. So I mean, all this stuff doesn't matter. All that matters is health. Go ahead, sorry.
My fault. I've gone through with Trevor Siemian, Paxton Lynch, Drew Lock, all of these guys. I mean, even last year, Bo Nix, if anything, they were like, oh, Bo Nix looks better than the backups, but they were like, he doesn't look that great. And I'm like, oh, this actually might be a positive that he doesn't look that great. But for Jet fans, they could breathe a sigh of relief. For me, if I'm looking at the Jets as an outsider, they've signed their 2 best young players. I thought they had a good draft. I thought they had a good offseason. I thought they hired the right coach and the right GM. So only time will tell with that. But I think you can relax. It's still a good offseason. It's going to be hopefully a good training camp with minimal injuries, so Jet fans can breathe a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I was getting texts about everything that's the most negative thing that you can think of this morning. It's like, oh my gosh, now we're going to go from 4-13, at least with an exciting Justin Fields, to 2 games of Tyrod Taylor going, oh my God, can we win 8 games this year? And then he gets hurt. And then we have to watch Tommy DeVito step in. And, everyone's going through all the worst case scenarios of all the possibilities of like, how is Tommy DeVito going to leave the Giants and now be the quarterback for the Jets by week 8, right? Everyone's playing nightmare scenarios in their heads.
Yep.
But now you don't have to worry about that. You just get to look forward to watching Justin Fields play football for the Jets at some point, and probably won't be a preseason game. If it is, it'll be like a drive or 2, which again, it doesn't matter.
And most of these guys won't play. And obviously, the more we do at each show, we're going to get closer and closer to meaningful football. So we'll dive more into that too. Just wanted to, jump on the semi-breaking news. But going back to what we were saying earlier, to jump into the MLB trade deadline, the fact that the D-backs, and shout out to Roe in the chat saying it, I mean, this really doesn't matter as far as the player, but the fact that the D-backs are now selling on guys, this has to be a big plus if you're a Yankee fan that is salivating over Suarez. I've heard the Mets connected to him. Any of their big players, whether it's Gallen, Suarez, this, maybe in a dream scenario, Marte's available. This is the sign of things to come, I think, for the Diamondbacks, where you look at the Yankees and their biggest need, I think bullpen is a need. It's not their biggest need. And I think starting rotation, they need bodies. They don't necessarily need like an ace. So when you look at third base, it's the one place I feel like they can upgrade the most. And Suarez is sitting there now with a D-backs team that may be selling.
Yeah, and that's the big thing now with the selling and the level of buying that the Yankees are going to do, right? Because it's one thing now for the Diamondbacks to put Eugenio Suarez on the board and available, right? What is Brian Cashman going to be comfortable with? And now we could open it up to the chat and to everybody listening. If you are a Yankee fan, or to the Yankee fans out there, or if you were a Yankee fan, I'll ask it like that. What are you comfortable giving up for a guy who's a 1-year rental in Eugenio Suarez, who's having a career year from a home run productivity standpoint? What's he at 30 plus already this year?
Yeah.
Eugenio Suarez. Like, what are you willing to give up? Are you willing to give up somebody who you expect or hope to be a true lineup mainstay in the future for a chance to win it this year and add a guy who can really be an amazing, needed bat and consistent third baseman in the lineup? What is the actual cost that you're willing to go for, Gallo? We'll go to you first. We'll hopefully get some comments here in the chat as well.
Well, I mean, so I don't know who these. I just want to add the details to it because maybe it adds to this conversation. Braden Garcia and Ashton Izzy are the prospects traded by the Mariners. I don't know what those guys, their rankings are. But if I'm the Yankees, they can't be willing to give up much for Suarez when he is their best possible, I think, acquisition at the deadline, because I don't think there's going to be a ton of top-end starters. And I think bullpen-wise, everyone's always looking for it, and it's going to be more quantity over quality, and that's going to go for the Mets too. I think if they're asking for a mid-level prospect, whatever, maybe not a Spencer Jones, not a Lombard, not any of these guys that the Yankees really covet, but if they're asking for their 6th or 7th, or maybe both the 6th and 7th, I think I'm okay doing that. When you think about it in the aspect, you're not giving up your best guys. And when you look at the Yankees, like, you do have to capitalize on Judge a bit. But I also think that if you could go out and get a Willie Castro or an Ahmed Rosario type, one of these, two guys who do not, I'm sure Yankee fans hear that and they're rolling their eyes at me. They're two guys who are hitting 260, 270, which is an immense upgrade over what they have at third base. They're two guys who could play third base fine. And yeah, maybe you lose a little bit on Peraza's defense, but you're gaining, tenfold offensively. So if there's not a lot that they have to give up to get Suarez, otherwise I'd rather go with a more savvy role player type than try to roll the dice on Suarez.
Yeah, who was the other guy who came in with Uribe with the Mets? Was it Asdrubal Cabrera?
Johnson.
Oh, Kelly Johnson. Asdrubal was a couple years later, or was he? Am I thinking of the right era? But the Uribe, Kelly Johnson level of player.
Cabrera was, I think, the next year.
He came in the year after that. Yeah, that makes sense. But like a guy in that ilk is kind of what you're referring to a little bit more so, right? Like Uribe wasn't expected to be here to throw up crazy numbers. He was expected to be here. Oh my gosh, we got somebody in from Spain.
Shout out Carlos.
Carlos
on vacation right now. Yeah, he's on vacation right now. Instead of producing Bart Winkler's show, he's in Spain in his Speedo.
Yeah, how was Portugal, I believe, as well, for a part of that trip. And I'm hoping that he is, well, I guess what time is it over there right now? Bro, your sleep is all messed up. Ain't it like 2 a.m, 3 a.m? Hopefully you had some wine right now.
You probably took a siesta. That's what they do. They sleep in the middle of the day there, and then they go out at like 10 o'clock.
They're doing it right, bro.
Carlos is just checking in to see if we bash the Cubs or not. So what we can say?
I would say the Cubs got to 60 wins before both the Mets and the Yankees. So he's laughing from Spain right now.
Well, he's welcome for Pete Crow Armstrong. So that 2.5 months of Javi Baez was electric, though.
That's the question mark, right? And that's buyers beware right now with like the Pete Crow Armstrong of it all. If you look at George Lombard or Spencer Jones or anyone in that ilk, like, okay, can Suarez lift this team to a point this year that's worth it? If one of those guys becomes Pete Crow Armstrong, right? Like, that's the question mark. And that's why, like, is McMahon going to hit the Ryan McMahon from the Rockies? Is he going to hit the trade board?
Right.
Is he a lesser expense than Eugenio Suarez? Is it going to be the Willie Castro type that you mentioned before? I personally, Gallo, feel like the Yankees have to push the envelope a little bit here. Every year, people don't like to talk about this because he's so freaking good and he should be so freaking good for a few more years. But every year you don't win with Aaron Judge is a failure. I'm sorry. Guy's not 27. He's 33.
Yeah.
You gotta push with this guy. I mean, I said this at the All-Star break here. Like, you can't sit here and look at this as a reason to stand pat with this team. You maybe not as playing as well as you can. You lost to the Blue Jays again. I'm sorry. Like, are you really scared of the Blue Jays in the playoffs? Are you really scared of this Tigers team in the playoffs? Like, You can't be, in my opinion. Yeah, they're playing better than you right now. But this Yankees team has enough pedigree to win in the playoffs. And if that's the case, you got to go. So I'm with you, like Lombard and Spencer Jones. It's like insanely difficult, or even throw Dominguez in there, to think about getting rid of those guys. But I want them to do stuff. I want them to make moves, and I'd rather them kind of push the envelope a little bit, if I'm being honest.
Well, I will say this. As much as I don't want them to trade a Spencer Jones, I think the thought process there is, if you do trade a Spencer Jones, there's a good chance they chase Kyle Tucker hard in the offseason. So does Spencer Jones with Judge and Dominguez, maybe Bellinger back also, does he even really have a spot on this team that you need to feel like, oh, you may be missing out on a guy that is a cornerstone piece? And that's the other thing is too, and this goes for the Mets too. We don't even know how highly coveted like a Lombard or Spencer Jones is to the rest of Major League Baseball. We don't know how highly coveted a Jet Williams is to the rest of baseball. We may covet them, but I don't know if teams are looking at them like these cornerstone upgrades for their farm systems. Now, the Diamondbacks may not care about that.
Right.
Now, is there a way that maybe they could take a contract? I don't know. I'd have to look at their team who might be a bad contract. Maybe if they add a Spencer Jones, they could get a Merrill Kelly and Suarez, which would be a dream scenario for the Yankees, or a Gallen, but Merrill Kelly might be the better option at this point. So I guess that's really why if they get more, then it's like, all right, then you can have a Spencer Jones.
So I'm looking at the top 100 prospects on MLB.com right now. The Yankees have 3 of them, and the top one is George Lombard. Look at Hector. This guy's so good. Can we give it up for Hector? I was looking at my computer. He popped it up like nothing right there. George Lombard's number 1 on the Yankees. He's number 30 overall. His overall rank in the country is number 30 right now. Carlos Lagrange is 95 and Cam Schlittler is 96. So those are the 3 top 100 guys, which leaves one obvious guy out, and that is Spencer Jones, a guy who, for all the home runs that he's hitting right now at the AAA level, there are some question marks as to what he can be at the next level because of, he's massive. He has a hole in his swing a little bit, but then when he hits it, it goes super far. So maybe it is the Spencer Jones type, like you said, and the backup plan is to go harder at a guy like Kyle Tucker, who's proven to be a top dude in the league. And again, maybe it's the Met fan in me who's looking at the Yankee fans that I've known my entire life saying, we can win, we can win, we can win. We're the best, we're the best, we're the best. Now they're saying like, we're going to pull back. Don't do it. Don't push it. Don't go all in. Don't push all the chips in. It's like, bro, you guys are the ones who complain about Brian Cashman not doing enough. You're the ones who complain about Aaron Boone, moving and shaking the lineup every single day. If you get a guy who's actually a difference maker, that makes the life of Cashman and Boone easier day in, day out. Like, what do you actually want? You're complaining about one thing and then you're telling them not to do the other. So I don't know what it is that you kind of want when it comes to this trade deadline for the Yankees.
It's a good point. Uh-oh. It's Hector's man. I was like, my God. Oh my God.
I've been waiting to do that. I've been waiting to do that. I almost messed up by having my mic on mute, but we fixed it. Having this conversation with about Yankees, the Yankees at the trade deadline, you hit it right on the head, Pete. I agree with you 100%. Yankee fans, 95% of them get on my nerve, right? And it's for that approach or that attitude that you have. When they want Brian Cashman to go all in, they want him to go all in. But when it's time to go all in, they start to panic and they get a little bit scared. When you look at the Yankees' top prospects and people that I know that are connected to the Yankees, a very close source has told me that the Yankees got 3 untouchables. That's George Lombard Jr., Spencer Jones, and Cam Schlittler, right? When Yankee fans like myself are online raving about Cam Schlittler, saying, oh, he's the next Garrett Cole, he's the next best great Yankee pitcher, blah, 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 blah. That's one thing. But when you have Carlos Rodon, Garrett Cole, and Max Fried fanning over Cam Schlittler and his makeup, then you need to start paying attention and maybe he becomes untouchable. When it comes to Eugenio Suarez, he's a rental that's 34. He's going to be 35 years old next year. I don't think the Yankees are willing to trade their top or any of their top 3 prospects for a rental that you're going to only have for the next 2.5 months, because next year he's going to be 35. And are you comfortable with giving Eugenio Suarez a contract around 20 to 25 million, basically what Pete Alonso got, taking him to age 40? I don't think Brian Cashman and the Yankees are comfortable with giving him that type of contract, and that's why I can see them not trading any of the top 3 for Eugenio Suarez. Now, Roderick Arias, Henry Lalane, any of those other prospects, you're all fair game. They could be packaged up and put in a trade for Eugenio Suarez. I just think the top 3 prospects, the big 3, is untouchable.
Well, that's good insight, because I didn't know how they view it with the Yankees. And if that's the case, then they probably can make a move for Suarez. But there's other options. Like I said, like I know people laugh at the name like Ahmed Rosario. He's like a career 275 hitter. And you look at Willie Castro, who plays multiple positions and is an immense upgrade at what they have at third base. And it doesn't really, he also gives you the ability to plug and play. And he's a guy I want the Mets to chase, because he's a guy that they could play anywhere in the field outside of catcher, and you're not going to need him at shortstop. I think the one thing, too, that has hurt the Yankees, no matter how much they loved Lombard, the fact that Volpe is not developed has probably made them hold on to Lombard even more if there was a huge Yankee player. And Carlos Ortiz put it right in there right now. How many times do Yankee fans that are holding on to these prospects, how many of these prospects have we heard about that just never panned out for the Yankees? Jesus Montero, all we could go along all the lines. These guys that they trade that nobody wants to trade, and they end up being not that great. And the guys they hold on to are the ones that end up being good. Aaron Judge was not a highly touted prospect, and he ended up being their best one maybe ever since Derek Jeter. Like, who was the guy who was up with Dylan Betances? Was it Benuelos?
Manny Benuelos.
He was another one who was supposed to be like a Johan Santana type, and he never was anything.
Right.
So I trust Cashman first and foremost. I know I'm a Yankee fan, and a lot of Yankee fans have lost faith with him. I trust him to make the right moves, and he can make moves, and a lot of people will love it at the deadline. And then if it doesn't work out, we all hate it. But it's like, well, he did his job at the deadline. It just didn't work out.
I think it comes back to this idea that money is fungible, right? And you kind of brought this up before, Gallo, with Kyle Tucker, right? So the Mets trade PCA, massive fumble, right? You got Javi Baez for a few months, and he was fine. You know, obviously they didn't get over the hump. They didn't win anything. And they lose Pete Crow Armstrong, who is an all-star already, hitting bombs like crazy, plays an insane center field. And it stings. Every time he does something well, he's on my freaking fantasy team. I'm like, God damn, at least he's on my fantasy team. This sucks. That happens. And guess what? The Mets are still in a place to compete in the NL East. The New York Yankees are the team that no matter what happens are finding ways to compete in the AL East, are finding ways to make it to playoffs every single year, are finding ways to compete for a World Series every single year. Like, I'm sorry, but at some point, you got to push the chips in. And everyone's saying, oh, the AL is better than we expected. It absolutely is better than expected. There's not a juggernaut in that league. There's not a juggernaut in the entire league. I'm sorry. The Brewers are good. The Cubs are good. The Mets and Phillies are good. The Dodgers are good. No one's amazing. There's not a team right now in the MLB that is knocking your socks off every single week. It just doesn't exist. And if that's the case, you have Aaron Judge. You have the best player in the world. You have to push. And I don't know, maybe it shouldn't be Lombard. Maybe it shouldn't be one of those guys. But maybe it should be the other one. Maybe it should be. And maybe Suarez is not the right guy to push that button on. I'm just saying, at some point, this team it has to go. Go. Aaron Judge is 33, bro. He ain't 27. And I'm going to keep hammering that drum every single time I have the chance, because this Yankees team can win this year. And I feel like that keeps getting lost in the conversation because they've been playing so up and down. They could win the World Series this season. And if you don't believe in that, if you don't think that's true, I think you're overrating all the other teams, because they're all having the same conversations as we are right now about their rosters and their injuries and their pitchers and their lineups.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a good point. Hector, are you afraid of the Blue Jays?
I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of the Blue Jays. I'm not afraid.
Yeah.
The issue with the Yankees when it comes to facing the Blue Jays is that, one, they're 11-18 against their division, right? I don't care. You can have Lou Gehrig coming through on the trade deadline. If you don't play better against your division, you're not making it to the postseason. That's first and foremost, right? So that's one thing that the Yankees have to clean up. But no, I'm in agreement with you. I am not scared of the Blue Jays. I'm not scared of the Red Sox. I'm not scared of the Baltimore Orioles. I'm not scared of the Tampa Bay Rays. The Yankees, they have 19 games left to play against their division this season, right? They have 4 games coming up against the Tampa Bay Rays. Then they start a 4-game series the week after when it comes to the Boston Red Sox. I had an epiphany today while on the Yanks Morning Brew when talking about George Lombard Jr. and Anthony Volpe. And allow me to indulge you fellas, right? And let me know if I'm off the reservation or not when it comes to this take. But Anthony Volpe's rookie year was 2023, right? When did the Yankees draft George Lombard Jr.?
21?
Was it 2023?
In the middle of the season, in the middle of Anthony Volpe's rookie season. So you got to tell me that the New York Yankees, right, a team that normally is picking at the end of the first round of the MLB draft every year. They've been picking at the end of the draft ever since they drafted Derek Jeter. That was the last time they had a lottery pick, right? So you tell me that the Yankees decide that in 2023, when Anthony Volpe is in his rookie season, the guy that everybody said is their franchise shortstop for the next 10, 15 years, right? They decide to take a gamble on a guy in George Lombard Jr. who was coming out of high school, already committed to Vanderbilt, right? And we understand that if George Lombard Jr. didn't sign with the Yankees would have just wasted a first-round draft pick. When do we know the Yankees to ever waste first-round draft picks on any high school kid? They're only going to draft you if they know they're going to sign you. So that leads to tell me that leads to Garrett Cole, but they got him eventually.
There's one more. There's one more. The guy from Jersey, Mike Trout.
Oh well. They fumbled the bag. They were supposed to draft him, but the draft compensation went to LA.
Wow, I thought they drafted him.
What it was when they signed Mark Teixeira, that compensation pick turned into being Mike Trout, and it went to the Angels. But you're right, it was out of high school, a kid out of high school, and went to the Angels, right? So I believe that the Yankees in Anthony Volpe's rookie year, they saw something to be like, this kid may not be the shortstop of the future. He may have to move to second base. And that's why they took a gamble on a guy who was coming out of high school, who was committed to go to Vanderbilt, to go to Vanderbilt. That many scouts said that if he would have went to college for 1 or 2 seasons, he would have came out of the draft as a projected 1, 2, or 3 pick in that first round. George Lombard Jr. grew up a Yankee fan. He grew up with Aaron Judge being his favorite player. That's why the Yankees, once they found that out, they took a gamble on him and they drafted him out of high school when he was already committed to go to the #1 program in Vanderbilt. He was friends with Spencer Jones, right? Knew Spencer Jones. They trained when Spencer Jones was a lot younger and he was younger. And I think when it comes to George Lombard Jr., I think the Yankees drafted him knowing that they're going to move Anthony Volpe to second base, personally. Now, let me know if I'm off the radars with that.
No, not at all. Not at all. And I also think it's a good pull. I didn't even know any of that before this. And I mean, listen, then they clearly covered him on a level that is untouchable. And I mean, like, they might say Spencer Jones is untouchable. That probably means that they look at Lombard as the future. Like, not just a replacement for Anthony Volpe, but like the future. Like, hopefully a guy that, you know, when Judge is winding down, he's coming in to take over that mantle. And that's major. I mean, and it's not like, Derek Jeter was he was touted, but he was not looked at as like a savior of the franchise. So that's a different level of untouchability. I think you get that with a lot of teams. Like, I think Dominguez was that guy. And I think we're finally starting to see Dominguez turn into an elite player. And he's only really scratched the surface. It's a good example. Like, we always talk about to give these guys time. And there's a difference between giving a Volpe or a Vientos time and Beatty, whoever you want to throw in there, Alvarez, and then giving a guy like Dominguez who's only had, a year and a half of experience. Alvarez, Volpe, they've been up here now for 3 years, so they've had time to figure it out. So that does change the way I look at their deadline. If I'm them, then Lombard and Spencer Jones and I forgot who Cam. I'm never going to say his last name because
Schlittler.
Yeah, I can't do it. I can barely pronounce a regular name, dude. I just call him Cam. That's my guy, Cam.
I'll be so scared to say his name on TikTok when I'm like at the stadium. I don't want to get like taken down for saying that the mustache man's name. You know?
No, not even
that one.
I don't want to say shit. That's just my thing. Like, so it's like when Mike used to call Tua to a T. So
to a T,
okay, to a T. But and I said this on my show a couple weeks ago. I trust Brian Cashman more than I even. This is not a criticism of David Stern. I trust Cashman more than I even trust Stearns because he's been doing it for almost 3 decades.
And the thing about Cashman is he doesn't really make mistakes, right? Like, he's not a guy who's going to go out there and do something so heinous that's you're going to look back and go, oh my God, how in the world did he do that? But what he might have the problem with more so is like, how come he didn't try that? You know what I mean? Like, how come he didn't push a little bit further? To me, Cashman and Danny Ainge have always been like the two guys that you can you can parallel, right? Like, and Danny Ainge was the guy, oh, he never loses a trade. He never messes up this. He never does that. He's always making, chicken salad out of chicken shit. Like, that's great. And then all of a sudden it's like, you need to go a little bit further, man. You got to go a little extra. Was Danny Ainge willing to do with Porzingis what Brad Stevens did? Like, I don't know. And granted, is that why they won the NBA Finals? Because Porzingis was there? He had his impact for sure. It wasn't the only reason why they won. But even like the Derek White stuff, like all that stuff, it was just Brad Stevens and the Celtics saying, hey, we're great. Let's be greater. We're great. Let's be greater. And I know the NBA is such a different thing because prospects don't like develop in that way. Like a great prospect plays from day one in the NBA. So it's a different sport. I get it. But Cashman, to me, it's not about his ability. It's about his willingness. And that would be my major question mark. So if Lombard's the guy who you're not trading, maybe you have to trade a Spencer Jones at some point. And if not, maybe you have to say you're punting on the season. And I think punting on a season, if you're the New York Yankees, is stupid. That's just the way it is.
What would it have to take, Hector, in your opinion, as the Yankee fan? Let's throw Lombard out the window and Cam S out the window. For them to trade Spencer Jones.
Schlittler. It's not that hard. Schlittler.
Dude, I can't pronounce regular names.
I'll give you right now. You could throw Cam Schlittler into that conversation, into that trade, right? I'm willing to trade Spencer Jones and Cam Schlittler, I'm willing to put them as the headliners in a trade for only one player. It's only one player I want to do that for. Y'all know who that player is?
Is third baseman? Not Manny Machado.
Nope,
he's not available.
Brett Beatty.
Jose Ramirez. Because
there you go.
If the Cleveland Guardians are signaling to the league that they're listening to trade discussions or trade packages around Steven Kwan, you cannot make me believe that Jose Ramirez is not the next person that's available. Or since he has a no trade, they'll call him up. Jose, you give us your teams where you want to go, and you let us know where you want to land. And that could be a scenario just like the way that the Yankees landed Giancarlo Stanton. The San Francisco Giants probably offered a way better package for Giancarlo, who was coming off of an MVP season, than the New York Yankees did. But he said, no, I want to go to New York. And if Jose Ramirez decides, no, I want to go to New York, I'm going to be pissed off because he's going to wind up in Queens.
Hell yeah, bro. Let's go.
If it turns into a bidding war, right? If he says I want to go to New York, it doesn't matter if it's the Bronx or if Queens. It doesn't matter if it turns into a bidding war between the Yankees and the Mets. For him, the Mets, they have higher prospects and they're willing to give them up. I don't think the Yankees will be willing to give up any of their top prospects.
And I don't think Judge has a relationship with Ramirez, whereas the cornerstone of the franchise in Lindor would go after him.
Yeah.
I just think that I don't think that Ramirez. I agree with what you're saying. Like the package you would only give him up for would be that. I don't think Ramirez is going to be available. They seem like they're trying to get rid of slightly smaller pieces, like getting rid of a closer does not signal you're rebuilding. Like I think people always view that. Like if they trade Clase, they could probably feel like I'll just go get Kenley Jansen in the offseason or go. Take who's the guy, their setup man.
But they've made him available also. The setup guy.
Okay.
Like it's one thing if they just say, you know what, let's just try to let's just try to replenish the farm system with Class A. Let's just try to get some prospect for Class A. But when you're offering Class A, when you're offering Cade Smith, when you're offering Stephen Kwan, who's one of the best leadoff hitters in baseball, how can you tell me that's not a rebuild? And if that's a rebuild, if you're letting your fan base know that you're going to go through a rebuild, Jose Ramirez is 32 years old. His money, yes, he left $100 million on the table when it comes to his contract, but his money goes up every year when it comes to AAV over the next 3 to 4 years. So right now, Cleveland, you took advantage of Jose Ramirez getting paid only 16, 17, 18 million. You better trade him away before he starts making 25 million.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you brought him up, Heck, because I guess that was the guy I'm reaching for. I'm not saying that the Yankees should be trading Spencer Jones for Eugenio Suarez. You trade Spencer Jones for, an A piece, an A tier player, and Jose Ramirez is that guy. I don't know who else is available in that list of players. That's the real question mark now. Is there a starting pitcher who's going to become available? Like Dylan Cease is a name I'm sure we'll talk about. Is he that level of a guy? I don't know. He's a free agent next year. So I get the hesitations of saying, all right, let's send off a Spencer Jones for a 1-year rental. I get that. When it comes to a Jose Ramirez type and somebody even close to his range, which Suarez is playing in that range this year from a hitting perspective, just to throw that out there, like then you got to cross that bridge.
And my reservation, my fault, Gallo, real quick. My reservations again when it comes to both Eugenio Suarez and Ke'Bryan Hayes. One, when it comes to Ke'Bryan Hayes, he's been up since 2020, COVID season. That's a wash or whatever. But in the 5 years, he's been he doesn't hit, but his defense is elite, Gold Glove defense. But in the 5 years he's been in the big leagues, he's only played in over 100 games in a season twice. One was 130 something games, and the other time was 122 games. He is very injury prone. This year he's played in over 90 games, but at any time his injury concerns could just pop up, and he could be on the IL for a significant amount of time. And when it comes to Eugenio Suarez, if Yankee fans have their reservations on Anthony Volpe and his defense, what do you think Eugenio Suarez is going to add to that left-hand side of the infield when it comes to his defense? His defense ain't nothing better. His defense ain't better than Anthony Volpe.
Well, go to a point that you just made too about that. It's not like the Yankees need a huge upgrade offensively. They just need an upgrade at third base. When you look at, let's take the Blue Jays, for example. That Blue Jays lineup, you could tell me the names. Those names, like even Vladdy, a lot of those guys are in the low 800 OPSs. Dominguez, Jazz, Aaron Judge, Bellinger, they're all having like high 800 OPS seasons. When you look at the Yankees starting rotation, they have maybe the best 1-2 punch in the American League. Like, yes, Tariq Skubal has been great, but when you look at what Rodon has done behind Fried, they might have the best 1-2 punch in the American League. Mm-hmm. So do they necessarily need to go out and get a big bopping name? Like they don't, again, I'm not just going to keep throwing the names out there because they're the ones on the top of my head, but like a Willie Castro, like, yes, he's not sexy, but it's not like they need to go out and get this superstar.
They need to be competent at the places where they're struggling right now. And then you look at it, it's the antithesis of last year's team. And that's another big point. I was on my TikTok, Subway Sports Talk, like talking about, what the Yankees need to do and this and that, and talking about how this year's team is better than last year's team. And some people are saying, well, they had Soto last year. Last year was better. I love Juan Soto. I am not going to pretend like he didn't help immensely with that team last year. Like he wasn't awesome for that team last year. They're better now. They're better this year. They have last year, it was 1-2 awesome. The rest of the team this year, they have Aaron Judge awesome. 2 through 7 every night is good. It's a completely different balance of power, but it's better in my opinion. Like you can't even look at it right now and think that the Yankees aren't a good offense. You look at OPS, who's got the number 1 OPS in baseball, baby? The New York Yankees. So for all the struggles that you're feeling, for all the sorriness that you have for yourself as a Yankees fan, because it's been a little bit of a weird, month or so, best offense in baseball, one of the best run differentials in baseball for this entire season. Yeah. We're not talking about a team like the Mets when they had Scherzer and Verlander, 5 games under 500 and 17 games out of first place, right? Like this is a real chance to have one good stretch. That's all it takes. One awesome week for the New York Yankees, and the Blue Jays have an average week, and we're back in business.
You said that OPS stat, and I was like, "Oh, who is it?" I was like, "Oh, who are we talking about here?" Is it? And I'm like, "Oh, wait, he's talking about the Yankees." No.
It's the Yankees, bro. They're number one OPS. Check it. Check the numbers. I mean, unless it changed in the last day or two. I checked like 2 days ago, but still, they're top 3.
You're right. You're 100% right. My issue is, especially when it came to this series against the Blue Jays, right? If you're Aaron Boone coming off of the All-Star break, you just had the All-Star weekend, right? And we're going to get into the Mets conversation as well. I just want to lay this last point out on the Yankees. You're coming out of the All-Star break. You just battled against the Braves. You took 2 out of 3. You're going into Toronto to face your division rival. This is a must-win series. I know we're in the month of July. This is a must-win series against your division foes and the Toronto Blue Jays. Why are we sitting Cody Bellinger in the first game?
Facts.
And then you win. Then you win the second game. So in the rubber match, the decision maker, the game that you need in order to take the series, why are we sitting Giancarlo Stanton?
It doesn't make sense. It's a lack of. I just don't know, and I'm not blaming Boone for this because I know all the general managers are going to remove the responsibility themselves, and it's not on Cashman either. The whole team, the organization as a whole. And they've done this earlier in the year where they've rested guys, and it's like
they've done it for years.
It doesn't make sense. Like
it goes back to Joe Torre. I'm not sure if you guys saw the interview that Jabba Chamberlain had, right? But they was talking about the Jabba rules. He was on a podcast over the past week. I'll try to find the clip, but he was talking about the Yankees front office with telling Torre and telling him, listen, if you pitch one day, if you pitch one inning, you're resting the next day. If you pitch 2 innings, you're resting 2 days in a row. And there be times that Jabba's in the dugout and they're asking him, are you good? And they're calling the front office and asking, hey, can we put him into the game? So this is not new in Major League Baseball or the New York Yankees. This goes back to when I was in fucking high school and the midgets. My fault, Gallo, because you was spitting.
No, you're right. You're right. And I just it frustrates me, one, because they don't need to win every game, but there is a lack of urgency. Like, and it's a complaint I have with the Mets sometimes. Like, you win the first game of a series and the bullpen might be overextended. Use your best guys in that second that second tier of, all right, let's get Diaz. I'm using the Mets as an example. Let's get Diaz in there and just forget about tomorrow. Let's win the series today. And the Yankees do the same thing. And it's like, you don't need to be resting guys right now. You need to win games so when September comes and maybe you actually can rest guys and you can allow guys to breathe. All right, we're in the playoffs. It's fine. And we're going to give you a few days off in September as we lead into the postseason. Right now, against the Blue Jays, is not the time to do that. And I don't know if they're sitting there thinking, oh, we're better than this. We don't need to treat these games with the Blue Jays like they're must win. But I'm sure if Judge goes out there and he looks at the lineup card, he may give you the company line, but I'm sure he's pissed when he sees the lineup card. If it's Max Fried pitching that day, I'm sure he's pissed. And you can tell me whatever metrics you want to tell me justify it, but your best players need to be out there. Sometimes you got to manage with your gut, or you have to allow your manager to make those decisions and manage with his gut and not put his hands behind his back and give him no option because he's the one who takes all the blame.
Yeah, I worked with Evan and Tiki today. Gallo, obviously you saw me there, and we were doing our little pre-production hangout, talking through whatever. And Tiki was talking about, if this was a football team, this is the time of year where your head coach gets up there and is like, yo, we got to keep pushing. And he has a freak out moment, right? He has this moment where he can show up to the team or to the media, however he wants to get that message out there, and say, we have to keep going. We have to keep pushing. We have to actually double down, not pull back. We don't need to be calm and worry about health. We need to push forward. And the Yankees just don't seem to have that in them. And I think it's twofold. Boone, obviously, and our commenter, Old Sarge there, has his take on it for sure. But
shout out to Old Sarge in the chat.
Old Sarge. But Boone has his demeanor. He is calm with the press. He is infuriatingly calm with the press. He seems to only freak out with the umpires, and that's all he does. And then maybe with John Boy, apparently he will freak out a little bit now too. It's got to be on him. It's got to be on Boone. I'm sorry, on Aaron Judge. It's got to be on Giancarlo Stanton. And, Garrett Cole's hurt right now. If he's around the team, it's got to be on him. These are the guys who have to get in there and be like, we're not standing for this anymore. This has to change. There needs to be urgency. And you guys are 100% right. Let's sit somebody in a week or two. Is that going to make a massive difference? Let's talk to these sports scientists. Hey, if we give Giancarlo Stanton a day off 2 days from now instead of today, is that a big deal? Like, to have this master plan schedule worked out and then someone gets hurt and it gets thrown out the window anyway? Like, what's the point? Like, the Yankees aren't healthier than other teams with all this sitting that they do. So what's the freaking point of all this?
Right. And also, to the Yankee fans that seem to hate Boone, the guy makes, this goes for a lot of managers, you're going to hate the one bullpen move he makes that costs him a game. You never talk about the 15 leading up to it that didn't cost you anything. And I'm sorry, if he benches Volpe, who the hell is he playing? Because then if he plays Peraza at shortstop, you're going to kill him and be like, why is Peraza playing? So, like, Yankee fans have their brains – I'm sorry, Hector. Their brains are broken because the ones that are under 25, I don't think even operate like this. The ones that live through the dynasty think, welcome to the rest of Major League Baseball. Welcome to having to grind it out in July and August and September. And what Boone says publicly is his job. Is he supposed to go out there and ridicule the 23-year-old? Do you think that's actually going to help? It's not. It's not going to help. We could go and talk about, Billy Martin and Reggie Jackson. They wanted to kill each other. If they didn't win a World Series, none of you would have liked Billy Martin. So miss me with it. Joe Torre never threw anyone under the bus.
Ever.
Never threw anyone under the bus. So I hate it. Boone is not the one out there. If the players start playing, the team was in the World Series last year. None of you had a problem with the way he managed the team. Now, and it's like he didn't drop the ball in the outfield. He wasn't the one who forgot to cover first base. That was his Cy Young and his MVP. Like, at some point, you got to take a chill pill. And if they make the right moves at the deadline, none of this is going to matter. And we're all going to be singing about how great Boone is and how great Cashman is. And it's the Yankee way to be back in late October playing baseball games.
It's facts, bro. It's facts. And, Evan and
I'm not even a Yankee fan, and this frustrates me.
Dude, same. It drives me absolutely up a wall, bro. And Evan and Tiki played the clip of Terry Collins in the press conference of 2015 or whatever, where he just went absolutely, haywire for 4 minutes straight talking about, everyone in here, if they're not going to give it their all, there's 30 guys on the AAA roster who want their seats and like this and that. And there might be a time and place for that. Whether Aaron Boone and somebody in the comments said this, like what he says publicly and what he says behind closed doors, what he says in the clubhouse to these guys might be different. And hopefully it is. Because if he spews the same BS that he says to the public, which he doesn't owe us much outside of just availability, right? That's all he owes to the public legally is availability and a couple comments here and there. What he's saying to them, that's what really matters. But I also want to go back again to it. How is Aaron Judge leading this locker room? Is it just simply by example? Because if so, maybe he graduated from that. Maybe leading by example for Aaron Judge is not enough anymore. Maybe he needs to step up and have a press conference and go, this is pissing me off. And that it doesn't have to be a freak out. It doesn't have to be a clip that's going to go viral. That's going to be crazy, crazy, crazy. But it needs to make everybody in that locker room go, oh damn, Captain is he's upset. I better tie my shoes tight and slide for that ball in the gap today.
Yeah,
no, you know what I'm saying? Like, and that's all it takes sometimes.
I don't disagree with that either. Like, and I'm not blaming Judge, but I agree with you saying like maybe he needs to be the one that steps up and says something.
Right, and it doesn't need to be something that we ever hear. We might not ever hear it because Aaron Judge puts his ass on the line every game. Every game. What was that game? Like a week and a half ago, he made 3 like insane plays in right field. Had a couple hits. Maybe he actually didn't even hit that game. He just had a couple sick plays in right field. I forget the combination.
No, it was a game right before the All-Star break. That's the
right
game
before the break.
Carlos Rodon went 8 innings and he dived in right field to make the last out in the 8th.
It was an insane play that superstars are not willing to make a lot of the times, especially right before the All-Star break. Are you kidding me? Like Aaron Judge, probably the Yankees brass is probably watching him slide into right field near the wall and be like,
yeah.
Oh my God. But he's that good and he's that dude. Yeah. So perhaps it turns to him at some point. And I know a lot of people try to poke fun at the stats and criticize him for his playoff stats. His regular season stats are obviously off the charts incredible. And maybe there's a little bit of an extra percentage point that he can flip in the direction of this team if he shows a little bit more verbal urgency.
I just want to say real quick to your point. We have 380 people in the building rocking out with us, guys. If you guys can hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. On YouTube, we're sitting at 5,595 subscribers. We are on our way to 6K. We are right there. So if you can help us out, drop a super chat, drop a $2 or $1, whatever you guys can do. It helps when it comes to the algorithm over here on YouTube and it comes to supporting the channel. Make sure you guys go and follow both Gallo and Pete on their social media platforms. The links are in the description down below. When it comes to Aaron Judge, Gallo, no need to apologize because like I cannot stand like 95 to 98% of Yankee fans. And I like to give Boone some grace because as somebody that's like being around the team, like for like the press conferences and stuff, you hear the same question being asked to Aaron Boone just in 3 or 4 different ways. And it gets annoying day after day after day. Somebody that had a dumbass fucking question to Oswald Peraza this past week was Randy Miller, which was a horrible question. He got roasted on Twitter for that. But I want to play this interaction between Boone and John Boy real quick.
It felt,
okay,
and he was
everyone's
like,
different. Stop with the reaction of how a guy answers a freaking question.
it's
Seriously.
not, but it's not one guy. It's like,
okay. We got to win. We are obsessed with it and hell-bent preparation-wise, and guys give a rip, okay?
so this is great, but this doesn't come through.
Because everyone handles things different. Like, stop it. It doesn't mean a guy cares more or less because he dives into home plate, okay? Sorry. They're not robots.
Well,
okay?
yeah, that's what I want.
Yeah.
I want more non-robotic answers.
I don't care what you want.
All right, well, I'm just letting you know.
These are answers of pestering everyday questions.
It felt,
Okay,
and he was like,
everyone's different.
Kudos to Aaron Boone. I love that.
Same. I love it. I love the way that Aaron Boone reacted and responded to that. And you see how he caught himself. He was very like, "Well, stop with that." And then you could tell somebody from the Yankee PR like tapped his leg because he was like, "We got to do better. We got to go out there and do better." But credit to Boone.
And it was a great interaction because honestly, I enjoy those interviews with John Boy. They clearly have a good relationship, and John Boy does a good job, asking the questions in a better manner than a lot of, and granted, these guys that follow these baseball teams, like that's not an easy job either. So to the press out there too, it's not easy to come up with a question every day when you kind of know the answer you're going to get. And I will say this, like if Boone is, let's say they fail at their goal this year and Boone gets fired, whatever manager they bring in is going to have impossible expectations to fill. And it's going to be on Judge to have that guy's back. It also would be nice if Judge, and this is again, I am not saying that he doesn't have this guy's back. It would be nice if Judge just came out and said, "What do you want Boone to do right now? Like we are failing him as a team.
Right.
Like it is not him failing us." And that's what I truly believe. Like if he came out and threw Anthony Volpe under the bus, I'd kind of crush him for it because it's not going to help Anthony Volpe. He may not be that guy. He may be that guy. We don't know. And I've seen it across town. Met fans killed Pete, they killed Nimmo, they killed Lindor for not being leaders. And then reports came out that they were gigantic leaders, that in 2021 and 2023, Lindor and Nimmo were the 2 biggest leaders in the clubhouse trying to get those guys going. And we don't know what's being said behind closed doors. And I don't think that's why the Yankees are struggling. They're also not struggling that poorly right now.
No.
They're a lot to make the playoffs. Like, that's not the goal. But, like, let's freak out if they don't make the goal of getting back to the World Series. Like, let's freak out then. Right now, what I'm seeing is a good baseball team that just had their worst possible month that they could have, and they're still right in the thick of things.
Yeah. And I think with that being said, is it time to move to the New York Mets? Heck, you got anything more to add on the Yankees there?
I just wanted to add one thing because I'm not sure if you guys was knowing about this, but this is something that we were discussing earlier on the Yanks Morning Brew, shameless plug. But when it comes to Anthony Volpe, this happened on May 3rd, right, to start the season with Volpe.
We watch him a lot of times. You get overextended, and when he goes down, maybe he felt like a little tweak, a little zap.
That don't feel good.
No, not at all.
Boy, from that moment right there, Jeff, to Anthony still being in the game.
Ooh, a twinge.
Meredith Marakovich was asking Aaron Boone a couple of days ago. She noted that Anthony Volpe is always favoring his left shoulder, which is his fielding shoulder with his glove. He's always icing it, and that happened ever since he injured himself on May 3rd. And Boone tried to skate around the question. Ricky Ricardo, he did an interview with a Spanish news outlet. Shout out to Ricky Ricardo, a fucking absolute legend.
Legend.
I have the video right here. I was able to translate it, so it has some English subtitles. Hold on, let me see if I can get it for you real quick. Just give me 2 seconds, and then we could jump into the Mets thing real quick. I just wanted to get this real quick. I have it uploading.
Well, why you do that? I have one more thing to say on Volpe while you get that set here. So I made a take on my social medias, on TikTok and Instagram and whatever, YouTube, Subway Sports Talk, about Anthony Volpe, and I equated him to Daniel Jones, right? Is Anthony Volpe the Daniel Jones of the New York Yankees? Now, I don't believe that that's true. It was just an observation that I thought was interesting here. But this is a guy who, even if you want to be critical of him, and I made observations comparing him to Daniel Jones that I think made sense, which is why I don't think people were that pissed at me. With all that being said, with all the negativity about Anthony Volpe, he is, without a doubt, an MLB shortstop. Without a doubt. Right. And he's still in year 3. There's so much time for this dude to get right and to be worth ridden for a little bit longer here.
So, yeah, this is the video that I got. Again, I put the English subtitles in the captions. So let me see if I can play this. Let me see if you guys can read it.
Bueno, vamos a empezar que no es solamente con Volpe, pero Aaron Boone no desprestigia a nadie de ninguna manera. Ahora, disciplina, crítica honesta y desprestigiar a alguien son dos cosas diferentes. En mi opinión, las preguntas de Meredith Marakovitz tenían mérito, porque Volpe no ha sido el mismo ni con el guante ni con el bate este año. Si no se le puede preguntar a un manager de pelota sobre de la forma que está jugando un pelotero, que no te dé una respuesta honesta, limpia, verdadera, entonces, ¿qué estamos haciendo aquí? ¿Hasta dónde hemos llegado? Ahora,
exacto.
Aaron Boone, parte de la razón que los jugadores le gusta jugar por Boone y lo respetan es que Boone, número uno, los protege todos. Ahora, ya lo de Volpe llega a un extremo, en mi opinión. En mi opinión. Lo de Volpe llega a un extremo porque es casi que no se le puede decir nada negativo ni hacer una pregunta.
So basically what he's saying is that when it comes to Anthony Volpe, you can't say anything to him. It's like Anthony Volpe is the one guy that Aaron Boone goes out of his way to protect. And like he said, the question that Meredith Marakovitz asked him, it had some merit because Anthony Volpe has not been the same ever since he injured his shoulder and he came back. Anthony Volpe, again, it was at the beginning of the season. In the month of May, he hit about 260. He had 1 home run and he scored about 11 runs. He has not been the same ever since he injured his shoulder. And like he said, if you can't get an honest and clean answer back from your manager when asking about a certain player, then what are we doing here? And I think that was a solid way that Ricky Ricardo put it.
It's fair. It's definitely fair.
Great.
They're just doing their job when they ask those questions.
Yeah, 100%. And that's where it's like the mutual respect of it is tough because at the end of the day, Aaron Boone and Aaron Judge and Brian Cashman are going to sit there and say, what does us telling the fans what's happening affect what's going to happen on the field? Perhaps it doesn't at all, right? And clearly the players like it a certain way, but also for the sake of not being asked the same questions all the time, every single day, if you gave some more honest answers occasionally, maybe you can get away with not being asked the same exact question over and over again. So it's a little bit of a catch-22 at the same time, but I love how Ricky broke that down.
Well, also, if he just answers that, yeah, he's banged up and he's playing through an injury, wouldn't that be a good thing for him? And people would just
Tough
like, oh,
man.
look at how tough he is. Like, that just feels like it would only help Volpe. But, well, obviously the deadline coming up next week. So the next time we speak, we should have a ton of trade news to react. And maybe Yankee fans will feel a little less insecure about where the team is right now and where the roster is. But for the other team in town, I mean, they have just as many question marks. But it feels like we all feel a little bit better about the team because they've kind of, they've won 4 of their last 6 series since their terrible June. And Now, we talked about trusting Cashman, and I'll ask you, Pete, like, how much do you trust Stearns with the Mets going
I trust him as much as I always have, which is quite a bit, frankly. I'm still not going to be like, oh my God, he's the best guy. He's the one. He's the chosen one. I'm not going to go that far until they actually win the whole damn thing, right? That's what it takes to be minted as an all-time type of guy. But right now, there's no reason not to trust him. In David Stearns, we trusted all offseason, and David Stearns, we trust right now. Again, it comes down to the same conversation we just had. You might not like every single thing that he does, but is what his decisions mean to this team, are they going to be positive? And I expect them to be. This guy is somebody who has very difficult decisions, because right now there's a bunch of young players who, I think meddling would be a little bit too negative of a word, but a bunch of young players who are in that echelon where they're like knocking at the door of being mainstays for this organization for years to come. But which one is it today? Because it might not be the same one tomorrow. So it's an incredibly difficult decision to make. You know, I put up a post on my social media. If you had to trade somebody for a good player, who would you trade? Vientos, Beatty, or Mauricio? I got 200 comments with 200 different answers, right? Like, it's very difficult to figure out who to trade in this bunch. Which one is the more important need? Like, they need an outfielder who can hit a little bit. They need pitching arms. They need this. They need that. My expectation with David Stearns, which is always my expectation with this guy, is for the Mets to get better every time he does something. Will they go from, an 8.8 out of 10 to a 9.8 out of 10? Perhaps not, but I think they're going to get better no matter what. And the one blessing of this setup right now is they can do a few little things, and we can feel a lot better as a fan base because they filled some holes. And I don't know if they're just going to be a big name on their way to the Mets this deadline.
I think Met fans are going to hate the deadline. I think they are.
I don't think that means it's going to be bad.
They hate it. No, that doesn't mean it's bad. We all loved other deadlines. Like last year, I think we were all pretty happy with what he did at the deadline, and it didn't all work out. I mean, it's worked out more this year. You've gotten more out of Braziban this year. We've gotten nothing out of Winker. Like, I trust him. I also think that, like, there's a possibility he can make all the right trades in the world, and then we'll all love it at the deadline. And if it doesn't work out, we're all going to kill him. But it's like, well, he did his job. And I also think there's a chance that Met fans are going to crush the deadline next week because they may only go out and get a couple of relief pitchers, and maybe they get one bench bat, and Met fans are going to panic and say it was a terrible deadline, and they're going to be like, Stearns sucks, whatever, he's a college boy, blah, 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 whatever criticism we've heard of him. And I do trust him. Now, like when I said before, I trust Cashman more. That's not because I don't trust Stearns. It's just that Cashman's been doing it for 30 years. And for Stearns, I think that I can envision them going out, getting a couple bullpen arms, maybe a bench piece. They're not trading for a starting pitcher. They're not trading for a third baseman. If maybe they trade for a DH, they probably views Jose Siri and Tyrone Taylor as the center field team, like duo going forward. They're not going to go out and add a center fielder. And I think Met fans are going to like that.
I was hearing rumblings. One, like you said, when it comes to relievers, the Mets are going to add a couple of relievers, right, at the deadline. One person that, and I've been telling you guys this for the longest, that I've been hearing the Mets have been linked to is the Boston Red Sox and Aroldis Chapman. But it's like the relationship or like the interest from the Mets are like, they call up and be like, is Chapman available? Yeah, he's available. All right. And they hang up the phone. That's the interest that the Mets have when it comes to Aroldis Chapman. And I can see the Mets trying to land a reliever like Chapman or Johan Duran. I do like Willie Castro. You brought him up from the Minnesota Twins. That's a guy that he came up as a shortstop. He can play second base, third base, left field, right field. You can put him wherever you want, plug him wherever you want. That's a guy that I think the Mets, they have interest in as well. I think the Mets are going to be more active at the deadline than some Met fans believe. You said that they won't go after a starting pitcher. It's 50-50 when it comes to a reunion with Seth Lugo. The thing that hurts the Mets is that the Mets have a lot of infield prospects. Well, depth when it comes to infield prospects, not that much when it comes to the outfield prospects. And that's what the Kansas City Royals are looking right now. They're looking for outfield prospects or outfielders with controllable years. And another name that became available is Steven Kwan. I think if you guys add Steven Kwan to your lineup, make him your leadoff hitter, then have Francisco Lindor as your 2-hole with Juan Soto in the 3 and Pete Alonso on the 4, that's a deadly 1 through 4 that you guys could have going into the postseason.
Well, and my thing is, though, when I look at their starting rotation, it's just like, I don't know if he views that as a giant urgency now with Minaya and Senga back healthy, and the 5 guys that they probably envisioned being in that starting rotation. And as far as now, if they were going to make a splash, I don't think the Red Sox are trading anyone right now because they're in the wild card spot. They're not in the division race, but they're not out of it. And I don't think they're going to trade a Chapman. Maybe they trade someone. Maybe they trade Duran because they feel like Rafaela is fine. There's guys the Mets could get that again aren't sexy. You mentioned the Twins. If you go out there and get Castro, and even if it's not Duran and you get Griffin Jacks, like that could help you big time too. And that's a guy that's rental, or I think he's under control, but would not cost them a lot. I mean, I heard Byron Buxton's name floated around. I don't think that's a real possibility. He said he wants to stay there. I mean, look at the Orioles. Is there a path to? I'm not saying Cedric Mullin is the guy to go get, but is there a path to maybe getting a Batista like from the Orioles if they maybe are like, all right, we could trade this guy and get some prospects they're not really rebuilding. Mullins isn't a rebuild move. He's a rental. I don't know if there's even a guy out there. Like I could throw Ketel Marte's name out there, but that's a pipe dream. Like I would give up the entire farm system to get him because you put him at second base. We got to, before we wrap up, we got to talk about the McNeil bet, but like I would put him over McNeil in a heartbeat at second base. And you now have a potent lineup, but that's not a realistic, move that they can make.
Yeah. I think with David Stearns, it's like you're right now where they are, you got to expect it to be the marginal stuff. And I think that's okay. Cause if you add marginally to this team, you're filling the holes that have held them back so far, right? If you want to point to Lindor struggles and Alonso struggles over the last, 30, 40 at bats, whatever it's been, they seem to break out a little bit recently, but like those guys, you're expecting them to get back to normal, right? Lindor and Alonso should be fine any day now. Look at what they did the past 2 days here. So like, I'm not worried about them at the top of this lineup, and I don't expect a top of the lineup bat to join this team right now. I really just don't expect it. And on the pitching front, we talked about some of the Yankees prospects. There's a lot of rumblings about Jonah Tung and Nolan McLean for the Mets. Are they going to see starts this year in the big leagues? It's possible. And there's 2 guys who are top 100 prospects in the MLB right now in Tung and McLean. So if they come up and one of them is more than serviceable, okay, we're cooking right now. The bullpen is the number 1 priority. Like with the Yankees, its third base is so glaringly obvious that it needs to be an upgrade here. For the Mets, it is the bullpen. That's number 1. Like, yeah, of course, is McNeil great in center field? No, he's fine. He's serviceable. He gets the job done. He's been hitting better than we maybe expected, or at least better than Gallo expected. We'll get to that in a minute. Like the bullpen is what's giving the Mets agita every day. Except for Edwin Diaz, who's been a freaking fantastic closer all year. It's just agita every single day from this Mets bullpen. So if it's end of the day, there's one bench piece that gets added to this team that might play, 2 to 4 games a week. Okay. As long as there's 3 new arms ready to throw out in this bullpen. Because right now they have a freaking train in and out of Citi Field every other day with these guys. So that's number 1 by a mile for me.
I want to shout out.
Hopefully Garcia is something also because he looked decent, the last.
If I can, real quick, I want to shout out the chat. We got 470 people watching and tuned in right now. If you guys can, I know we got over 200 people on the Subway Sports Talk channel and on Twitter and on Uptown Sports TV on Twitter. We got over 250. If you guys can, click the link in the bio, come on over to YouTube and join the conversation because we are cooking over here. My fault, fellas. Go ahead, bro. I just wanted to drop that in. Shout out to Metsy in the chat who says, blame Mendoza for gambling a lot of those games over the last month.
Gambling. Just everyone wants to piss me off tonight, dude. Like, what was he supposed to do when starting pitchers were dropping like flies? Like, you could only pitch the guys that are on your roster. Like, did you want him to go Bartolo, come out here. Johan, you're at our fucking facility. Come pitch for us. Like, it's so ridiculous. Like, the guy has to work with what he has. Did he think that Vientos and Alvarez were not going to hit at all for 3 months of the season? It's delusional. I make fun of Yankee fans. Mets fans are just as bad. I'm just more used
I didn't
to
know. I didn't know
delusional.
this lore of like Mets fandom and like Gallo getting upset like that. I didn't know this lore.
Bro, when Waddell is the guy in the pen who actually can throw for 3 innings. Like, of course he has to do it when the Mets starter only went 2 1/3. Like, what do you want him to do?
Yeah.
Diaz, come throw 4 innings. Like, what are you kidding me? No, they're using bullpen arms for 6 innings a game for a stretch there. Like, of course, it's going to feel pretty damn thin, and they're gambling by putting out a guy we've never heard of in a high leverage spot in the 5th inning because there's nobody else to use.
Right. How do you justify putting Blackburn in when he wasn't ready to pitch on Friday the 13th? Dude, like, what? That's one time. Do you know what led to that moment? At the middle of June, we had already lost Senga. We had lost
McGill and Canning.
Guys. We lost relief pitcher. Yes, thank you. We had lost everyone. You know what? Paul Blackburn wants to stay in the major leagues. We'll be ready to pitch, dude. He's a veteran. And it's also like the putting him in after the rain delay. First of all, they had no one to pitch the game. From June 1st to June 20th, Brazoban, Garrett, Stanek, Budo, these guys added like 20 innings to their outings because they had no bodies. Like, you can't do anything when everyone gets hurt. At some point, the pitcher's got to pitch. Paul Blackburn is a fringe player. Step up, buddy.
Or else see you later.
Is that Mendoza's fault? Yeah, when Clay Holmes has 120 pitches in the 4th inning, is that Mendoza's fault? Like, it's so ridiculous. I'm calm. I'm zen.
I just want to say we like to have check-ins when it comes to mental health, right? Always take care of your mental health. Always drink your water, because if not, shout out water as well. And like Rose said, it's just as bad as the Yankees.
And this podcast, T.O. Allen Friends, is brought to you by water. Please drink it.
Nice high quality H2O. But no, I get what you're saying, Gallo, because it's the same frustrations I have with some Yankee fans, that it's easy to be Monday night quarterback, right? It's easy to do that. It's arm string quarterback the next morning. Same thing with Aaron Boone. Everybody likes to second guess his decisions and everything that happens out there. I get it, right? It's hindsight is 50-50. A lot of us fans love to believe that if we had,
by the way, on your sayings right there.
No,
not to call you out, not to call you out, but
do it on purpose.
Okay.
What I'm saying is that fans love to believe that if they were the GM of their favorite sports franchise, they would be able to put a championship team out there on the field. Now, I'm gonna go kill myself for Pete.
No, play the music again. But no, you said arm string quarterback, Monday night quarterback, and
I'm gonna say armchair quarterback.
Hindsight is 50-50. My bad.
No, hindsight is 50-50.
Hindsight is 20-20. No?
It's 50-50, bro.
50-50 is bad.
I gotta be honest, though.
2020.
I gotta be honest. Hector said all those, and I was
he's
like,
cooking.
he's
cooking.
Man.
Let him cook.
It went over my head.
I appreciate
it. What's up? I was gonna say, before I got derailed and my ADD kicked in. The other thing is too, the Mets get out of bat. Is Lindor, Nimmo, Alonso, and Soto going to get any hits with runners in scoring position? Because Taylor's better than them with runners in scoring position. McNeil's better than with runners in scoring position. Beatty, like Torrens. These guys are the problem right now with runners in scoring position, which is probably not a positional need, but the biggest need for the Mets right now. And if Lindor, Soto, and Alonso aren't doing it, they're not going to go anywhere. I'm sure that's Mendoza's fault too.
Mendoza's fault that Soto has been having a career bad year with runners in scoring position. You know what I'm saying?
Monday morning quarterback.
There you go. So just so I know.
I got you for future reference. I'm just trying to help you out for future reference. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all I'm trying to do over here. My bad.
Oh my
God.
I love you too. Juan Soto on that front though, like he got that big 2 RBI single with just like a poke up the middle. I want to call one thing out about Juan Soto that I noticed in this last series that I absolutely loved. So there was one game, I think it was the first game of the series. He got absolutely hosed by the umpire. And Juan Soto knows the strike zone better than most umpires, right? And you can tell when he does that look back at the umpire, like, you called that a strike? Like, come on, dude. And then he gets pissed off. And what did he do the next game? Did anyone remember? First time in his entire career. Anyone see it? He swung at the first pitch every at bat. Every single at bat. Juan Soto swung at the first pitch. And to me, that was a sign of him saying, all right, I can't trust these umpires to do what I need them to do their job. I'm taking matters into my own hand. And you saw an aggression out of him. And I love that. And I think this June and July that has been really good for him so far is about to turn into a end of July and August that's going to be, on the levels of epic. And I think this running against the worst position thing is going to flip in the right direction. So I'm feeling positively about this. I was sad today that the Mets didn't have a game because I've been so looking forward to the games over the last week. So I'm locked in and I'm pumped up.
I'm the same, dude. After they win a few in a row, and I'm like, dude, they need to keep going. I don't want any more off days until they lose again. But I agree, and I think Lindor. Lindor yesterday and Alonso yesterday getting some big hits is good to see. Alvarez. I was there Tuesday night when he hit the homer. Alvarez getting going is good to see. They got I know Senga had a bad start, but they won the game, so it felt like a wash. Mania looked good yesterday. Like everything feels to be. Montas looked really good in my opinion on Tuesday. Everything seems to be going into place, and if they could just start getting these hits with runners at scoring position, they could take off, and whatever they get at the deadline will just be a cherry on top.
I'm calling it right now. I said it the other day when I was at the Mets game yesterday. Juan Soto is going to go off in the month of August and September. Juan Soto, every year, his batting average is always around 280. It's around 258, 260 right now. Last time I checked, in yesterday's game, I didn't see today. Juan Soto is going to have a hell of a month of August and a hell of a month of September. And this is going to be when Met fans become the most irritable, right? When it comes to shit talking Yankee fans. And I've been waiting for this moment, right? And this is what I've been telling a lot of Yankee fans who have been talking shit about Juan Soto ever since he signed with Queens. I know Juan Soto wasn't an all-star. I put that more on maybe the fans not voting for him. But I like to point out when Juan Soto was with the San Diego Padres and the Washington Nationals, me as a Yankee fan, I was voting for Juan Soto to make the All-Star game, right? So just imagining all the Yankee fans that voted for him before he was a Yankee, but since he signed with the Mets, he didn't get those votes from Yankee fans. Maybe that shifted him when it comes to the All-Star vote. I don't know.
And he started slow.
And he started slow as well. And there was a lot of Juan Soto hate that was out there. Yeah. Juan Soto needs to be an all-star every year, no matter what. Like, you can't have the all-star game without one of the number one stars in baseball. But I wrap it up by saying this. Juan Soto will have a hell of a month of August and September.
Wrap it up, Heck. How did we do today? How did we do today?
Oh, good. We have 490 right now. Shout out to everybody who tuned in. Everybody, we had a couple extra new subscribers as well on the channel. We're at we're almost at 5,600. Guys, like always, make sure you guys tune in. Follow Pete. Follow Gatto. Go ahead and plug what you guys have before we close things out.
I'm on a Sunday morning on the Fan, 8:30 to 1 p.m. I have some cool news coming up. I can't share it right now, but I got some news coming up soon. And I think Al is on Saturday night till 1 a.m. I have to double check on that, but stay tuned for Al's
Saturday, like Saturday night leading into Sunday morning.
Yeah. I think he's doing 9 to 1. I don't have the schedule up right now, but I'm almost certain.
And in the final seconds, Heck, if I'm not mistaken, we just passed 500 viewers for today's episode. So shout out to all y'all who just jumped in right now at the last minute. We may be ending up now. You can go back and watch it on YouTube, or you can even watch it on a replay on the Twitter stream on Subway Sports Talk or Uptown Sports TV. My podcast, Subway Sports Talk. Check me on socials, especially TikTok. I'm cooking there every single day, and I'm also producing for Evan and Tiki tomorrow. So if you're tuned into Evan and Tiki on your afternoon drive, how you doing? Me and Connor Green will be behind the glass, and I'm not expecting to say much on the show because I'm filling in for Loogie and Marash, who obviously carry so much on that show and do a great job. But if I get to say a few words, hopefully you hear me say them, and I'll be excited to do so and excited to work with those guys because they're awesome. And then TUL and Friends always every Thursday.
Yeah. I got one more thing to plug too. Me and Hoff interviewed the producer of Terrifier. So that interview, if you're a horror fan, we interviewed one of the producers from Terrifier. So that should be up hopefully this night, if not tomorrow morning. And Pete will be on TV. So make sure you see
that's right. Make sure you watch that ass too.
Always watch that ass.
I gotta say, Pete, you are cooking on Twitter. I gotta say, I'm proud of you. Right? I saw you keep putting videos out there. I'm like, all right, look at my man Pete Kennedy on the TikTok. I mean, not Twitter, on TikTok. Posting more videos on TikTok. Last thing, boys, y'all saw Superman 1 to 10, real quick. I thought it was a fucking 10.
I thought it was an 8 out of 5.
I haven't
Which
seen
is
it
a good
yet.
score for me. For
10.
superhero
It's a
movie.
10. All I'm saying is a 10. No spoilers, anything. I just said it's a 10. It's a 10. I loved it.
Superman and Fantastic Four, I got to get to the movies like ASAP because I'm freaking out that I haven't seen either of them yet. Fantastic Four came out today, but I'm so damn excited to see both of them.
I saw it last night. I was pleased. I was happy with it, and I'm not a big superhero guy when it comes to movies, so I'm more than
that's what I'm talking about. Guys, like always, appreciate you guys. I'm Hector. That's Pete Kennedy. That's Anthony Gallo. Theo Al was taking a late night snooze. Senior citizens, they gotta have their nice little snooze. Pete, AARP ASAP. Pete, take us out.
All right, that's what we got for TOL and Friends on Uptown Sports TV. As you always know, don't forget to wash your ass.